So starting off episode 2 of the build series for this thing, we're going to get into the painting. So before we paint, we need to prep the thing. How I do that is I tape everything off I need to with painter's tape, this blue painter's tape. And then all the bare metal surfaces, I use some of these pads, these alcohol prep pads, or you can use whatever you want. Just make sure there's no oil residue, anything left over on the surface of the metal parts, and you should be good. For this, you can really just go as in-depth and detailed as you want to, or don't do any prep work at all. I've seen both. So I like to do some prep work. I cover off the mags. You can see here, just so nothing gets inside there, and this is what's going to be inside the mag well, so I like to make sure that stays clean. Some parts of the stock here. Buffer tube, all the buttons and levers pretty much, trigger, and this hole I'm going to cover up with a foam ear pro. Just roll it up, stick it in there, and it'll expand and fill up that piece. Charging handle, and then I put a cover over the whole barrel with some paper and some more tape so the barrel and gas system don't get painted on. Same with the scope. Anything that you don't want painted, so everything that moves, if there's numbers that you want to keep on there that you want to see, the lenses especially, just tape it off. The only thing I don't have right now that I could tape off is a mount for the scope. So that's the next thing I need to get, and then I can really start painting everything. But you can be, like I said, as detailed or not as detailed as you want to be. This kind of thing. Like you can see, I got the mag well blocked off, as well as the mag release over here. I'm leaving this closed. I'm going to paint over that. I do have a piece of tape inside here on the receiver so that through these small cracks and everything, nothing's getting through into the chamber or anything. Charging handle, forward assist. So that's just the prep phase. I recommend it. But again, you can do it however you want. But take 10-15 minutes, tape this stuff off, might give you a better, more professional look. And don't forget to clean it off before you paint. I'm going to get a hold of a cantilever scope mount first. Throw that bad boy on. And then we'll start painting. So next video should be me jumping to that. I went and got some of these orange little earplugs here. $10 for this bag. I don't know if I got ripped off or not. Probably. But I'm definitely not going to use all these, but now I have them. But like I said, I was going to use some of these to plug up these holes for the fire selector switch. So just roll them up a little bit. Push it kind of flush. Expands on its own. And that's how I'm going to keep that and somewhat of the surrounding area around it free of paint, so I can have a very good and smooth working selector switch there. I hope I messed that up. Kind of pushing on the other one in there. Go down a little bit. Let it expand. I think before I even clean off everything with the alcohol prep pad, I'm going to have to do a little bit more cleaning, just because out of the box it come a little oily and some cardboard residue over it. So I'm going to do like a general cleaning first. So there you can see that's not going to come out, and I could just spray over that and it's not going to give me any problems. So I do have the scope mount coming in. It's a worn cantilever scope mount. The thing was like $150. Those things are so damn expensive, but that's okay. We'll mount that up and then start to get everything painted. So before painting, I recommend use some alcohol wipes or whatever you have. I just have a bunch of these little packs. You can probably find bigger wipes, but you want to prep the surface, make sure there's no oil, and make sure it's not dirty before you paint, pretty much. So just go over it with your wipes, just like this, nothing crazy. And I'm doing it with gloves on too, because you have a bunch of oils and dirty ass hands. So even if you wash your hands then do this, your skin still naturally produces oil, so that's going to get on the surface as well. So just put some, gun cleaning gloves on or whatever you got, and that should work. Go over every spot you plan on painting, and then after you get this and the scope, any other metal parts really, then you can move to the painting. Alright, so now we're out here set up, about ready to go. These are the paint that I'm using. Flat deep forest green, Rust-Oleum, okay, non-reflective finish. Obviously you want something that's not reflective if you're trying to blend in. Satin Espresso, Rust-Oleum. Okay, so satin, that's going to give you a non-reflective finish as well, but I wanted a darker brown, so this is what we're using for that. Satin Black, Canyon Black, Rust-Oleum. And then for the base, flat khaki, okay, Rust-Oleum, non-reflective finish. So we're going to do a base coat of this on here first to start. And we'll be using a couple items to break up the pattern. I'll be using a sponge. This is a bit more bigger and porous than a regular dishwashing sponge that you see, like the square ones. So you can see I already did it with my other rifle. I just paint a little spot like right there, dip it in lightly, and then I'll pat it across the rifle, you'll see. And then also 2 different types of laundry bag netting, just a thicker one or a bigger circle and a smaller circle one, okay? And this is pretty much the only things I use for my patterns. And you can use whatever you want. You can use stencils, actual leaves. I've seen people just throw leaves on it and then spray paint over it. You can do that. This is just what I prefer. So starting off with the flat khaki, we're going to get our first coat down. Don't spray too close to it. You see I'm not right up here, I'm about 10 to 12 inches away. Do like a sweeping kind of motion with it. Cut in front of you here. This is flop. Okay, and a couple of places, don't forget when you're painting, a lot of people will forget the front part of the mag well underneath the trigger guard. Just little spots like that people will overlook. And then when you finish, you're like, oh shit, now I gotta go back and fix it or leave it looking somewhat undone. So we're gonna keep doing the base coat on this just like you saw me, just do that for the whole thing. And I just continually keep going as it's wet. I'll continue and I'll start with the other coats with the color and the patterns, because it doesn't have to look perfect. Sometimes a bit more chaotic actually works better for blending in. So let's start with some patterns once I get the rest of this base coat put on. So also another good technique to use if you really don't want to set your fresh side down on the cardboard or whatever so you don't smudge it. I just put 2 water bottles on the ends. Use whatever you got, this is just keeping it off the ground, and it's just bouncing on this pistol grip, which I don't care if it gets ruined or not because that's not staying on there, but just use what you got, get creative. So now that it's up, I can get maybe some different angles than I wouldn't usually be able to get if it was laying flat. So you can see here I'm on the other side. Don't forget to get in between the rails section. All the little angles around your forward assist. Yep. Some people might even just like the plain tan, which I think does look pretty cool too, but it'll kind of, at least this light of a tan, this khaki, depending on where you're at, will stick out like a sore thumb. But I don't know, it still looks kind of cool. So I'm going to finish this up and then we'll start with the patterns. Now we're going to start with our patterns. I'm pretty happy with the khaki as it is. Starting with the OD green, basically. This is a flat, deep forest green. And we're using the bigger netting. You can just find this in like the laundry section if they got laundry bags. Same shit. So what I'm gonna do is I'll just set it on. The closer the better if you want the pattern to come out. Oh shit. Some dirt. The closer the better. And I'll just do kind of like a forward stripe kind of pattern. So it'll be like stripes going this way. Don't overdo it with these because you'll end up making it look not the best. See, it's kind of subtle. And you can always go back and rerun it if you need to. I'm gonna see how that pattern's starting to come out. I'll do a little bit up here at the front. It's just to help trying to get rid of these hard edges. So you're gonna do that to your liking. Again, a little can be a lot in this instance. So just take your time with it, and once you're good with one side, do the other, and then we'll move on to the next pattern we're gonna do. Now we're gonna hit it with the satin black and the smaller mesh bag here. And we're gonna do roughly the same thing, except just maybe a little bit less, because I don't want it to be too dark. Black can really mess up the pattern pretty quick. So just, I like to do little spots. Make sure it's decently close. Yeah, it's kind of popping up there. See, it's very subtle black spots here. You can get one spot right there. Okay, nothing too crazy. Get one in this, couple spots here. A little bit more. Okay, do the same thing for the other side. You could do more or less. I'm also going to put brown on here, so I don't really need to do too much black because there's going to be another very dark contrasting color on here. So again, use what you want. You don't have to use this. You could do it, or you could just do stripes just with the can. As long as you break up the pattern of the rifle, really, you're doing a decent job. So let's finish up this on the other side, and then we'll move to the brown color. So for the final pattern we're going to do on this, we're going to use our brown. Again, this is my espresso. There we go. And we're going to be using that sponge. So go ahead, and this won't be getting painted on directly. So we're gonna get a little puddle going. Okay, I'm gonna use the clean side here. Dip it lightly. Okay, get a little bit on there. Just dab it. Yeah, maybe a little heavy right there. So, the point is to make it somewhat random here, and I think I actually did a pretty decent job randomizing. So, get a couple more spots here. That doesn't look too bad. And same thing for the other side. So, this is pretty much it. You're going to repeat the same process with the stock, the scope, the mags, anything else you want to paint, and that should be it for you. So let me finish this up and then I'll show you what the final product will look like. So this is what it's going to look like, a little up close here. I'm done with the rifle, okay? This is as much as I'm going to do. So you can see the small pattern with the black, big pattern with the green, and then the brown splotches. So I think that's a pretty cool pattern. I like it. And do the same exact thing with the stock and the mags and the scope. And that's pretty much it, y'all. So if you have any questions, let me know. You should let this dry for 2-3 days. These are like the quick dry cans, but I wouldn't touch it for about 2-3 days. Especially the brown parts, since it's kind of just blotched on a thicker spot of paint. It's going to take quite a bit longer to dry. So get the other parts like underneath the trigger guard, and you see in front of the magwell there, all these little weird spots. Make sure you put some detail in there. Well, that's going to do it for this paint job. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.